Imagine a practice. Something so transformative for your mind, but it's completely natural, safe, and, well, probably already on your bookshelf. What if we told you it's been sitting right there, waiting to unlock some hidden potential in your brain? Today, we're doing a deep dive into something pretty extraordinary. The brain-boosting power of poetry. Our main source here is Clint Miller's really compelling book, The Biohacker's Guide to Poetry, and also the research he draws on. Our mission really is to unpack how engaging with verse, just reading it, doesn't just entertain, but can actually profoundly rewire your brain, reshape emotions, maybe even upgrade your whole mental landscape. I'm genuinely excited about this, and I think you might find some real surprises. I have to say, poetry, for me, it's always been about enjoyment, maybe reflection, or, English class. But thinking of it as a brain hack, that's a totally new way of looking at it for me. Where do we even start with that? How does reading a poem become this powerful cognitive tool?
That's a great question. And it really gets to the heart of what Miller's book explores. What's interesting is this idea isn't completely out of the blue. You've got people like Keith J. Holyoake. He's a psychologist and poet at UCLA. He was asked, what single activity exercises language, thought, emotion, and triggers internal rewards all at once. His answer was surprisingly simple. Pick up a book of poetry and start reading.
Huh. Just like that.
Yeah. And even way back over a century ago, Charles Darwin himself saw poetry as a way to preserve parts of the brain he felt he was losing. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What exactly is happening in our brains when we read poetry that makes it so potent?
That historical backing is powerful. Darwin, wow. But, okay, let's get into the how. How are scientists actually seeing this effect now with modern tools?
Right, and this is where we get some really compelling data. There's a neurologist, Adam Zeman, and his team over at the University of Exeter. They used fMRI scans, those machines that show brain activity, which parts light up. They compared the brains of people reading poetry versus people reading regular prose.
Okay, fMRI scans.
And what they found was, well, a stark difference, a really undeniable difference in the patterns of brain activation.
A stark difference. Wow. Okay, what was so different? How did poetry light up the brain compared to, say, reading a novel extract?
Well, if you look at the bigger picture Zeman's research paints, it suggests prose reading mostly engages the left brain. That's our analytical, logical, rule-following side.
Well,
very effective for processing information, day-to-day stuff.
the logical side.
But it often results in a less emotional, kind of left brain dominant experience. Poetry, though, it acts almost like a bridge. It uniquely stimulates the right brain areas linked to emotion. And crucially, it does this together with the left brain. It forces them into this powerful dialogue.
So they're working together more.
Exactly. It unlocks a whole different way of processing, a completely different literary experience, really, one that can tap into some really deep emotions and profound psychological states.
So poetry kind of gets the two halves of the brain talking to each other in a way they might not normally. That sounds pretty significant. Are there other things we know of that create that kind of brain synergy, where the hemispheres connect like that?
You've absolutely nailed a key point there. This unique collaboration, this integration, researchers have seen it elsewhere. For instance, look at the Ohio State University Center for Psychedelic Drug Research and Education. A researcher there, Adam Levine, he's documented how certain psychedelic drugs can have therapeutic benefits. And part of that seems to be encouraging the right brain to participate more, increasing empathy, emotion, insight.
Ah, interesting.
And Levin's findings really do align closely with Zeman's work on poetry. It suggests there might be a shared neurological mechanism at play.
So a shared mechanism in how they get the hemispheres communicating more deeply.
Precisely.
That connection to Levin's work is fascinating. He described that psychedelic state as, let me see if I remember, a unique combination of the hemispheres coming together in a way that doesn't usually happen in normal states of consciousness. He said, it's almost a new encounter between the left and the right hemisphere's way of thinking and perceiving the world. That's such a powerful image.
It really is.
But, okay, maybe playing devil's advocate for a second. Are we simplifying things too much by comparing poetry to psychedelics? Is the mechanism really that similar?
That's a fair question and an important distinction. We're definitely not saying poetry is a psychedelic drug. What we're saying is that the neurological result, that increased integration between the hemispheres, shows remarkable similarities. Think about daily life. We're often running on that left brain dominant mode, right? Analytical, logical, task-focused.
Autopilot sometimes.
Exactly. Poetry comes in and acts as this powerful counterbalance. It invites the emotional right brain into the conversation, gives it a stronger voice. It helps create that new encounter Levin talked about. So the path might be different, sure, but the destination, in terms of this specific kind of brain activity, there are compelling overlaps.
Okay, that makes sense. It's about the pattern of brain activity, the integration. And it wasn't just psychedelics Levin mentioned, right? Didn't he also link it to mindfulness meditation?
He did, yes.
We know meditation can build new brain networks, even physically thicken parts of the right hemisphere.
Exactly right.
So we're kind of looking at a trio here. Psychedelics, meditation, and now poetry all seem to encourage this better communication between brain hemispheres.
That's the picture emerging, yes. And this whole discussion leads us directly to what many call the holy grail of the brain.
Neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity, that incredible, almost miraculous ability of your brain to grow, change, reorganize itself, rewire its connections based on experience.
Mhm.
And the critical question this raises is, how accessible is that ability, especially for us as adults?
Yeah, because for ages, the thinking was that neuroplasticity was mostly a childhood thing, right? That our adult brains were pretty much set in stone.
That was the dominant view for a long time.
But then, later in the 20th century, research started showing, no, wait, adults can achieve significant brain change too, a massive discovery.
A complete game changer. And it's just so crucial for, well, for everything, really. Think about high achievers, students, professionals. You need neuroplasticity for continuous growth, for adapting, for innovators, creatives. It's essential for forging those new connections that lead to breakthroughs, those eureka moments.
Building new pathways.
And maybe most importantly, for anyone looking to make a fundamental shift, overcoming mental blocks, trauma, depression, anxiety, neuroplasticity is the biological mechanism. It's necessary for that rewiring, that reinvigoration of the brain.
We've definitely seen powerful examples of triggering this. You hear about people having, say, a single session with a psychedelic and making huge turnarounds with chronic depression or anxiety.
Yes, those reports are significant.
Or people developing long-term meditation practices and finding similar profound shifts in their mental state and outlook.
Absolutely. Both psychedelics and meditation have shown they can induce significant neuroplasticity, often with effects that last much longer than, say, traditional medications.
So the truly remarkable claim here, based on Miller's work and the studies he cites,
is that you can potentially achieve these same kinds of profound results, this mind-altering neuroplasticity. You need to really change your brain for the better. Without the psychedelics, without the years of meditation practice, maybe even without medication, poetry is put forward as a simpler, perhaps easier, more accessible path to generating that same transformative power.
Easier and more accessible. Wow.
Opening up these pathways for healing, for growth, in a way that's, well, surprisingly within reach for almost anyone.
Okay, so if poetry is rewiring our brains through neuroplasticity and getting the hemispheres working together better, what does that actually look like? What are the tangible benefits in our lives?
That's the really exciting translation, isn't it? It's not just internal tinkering. It leads to a holistic boost. One really fascinating finding is that poetry seems to improve both IQ and EQ.
Both cognitive intelligence and emotional intelligence. Seriously.
Studies suggest that. Plus, it seems to boost memory, verbal fluency, and it directly strengthens the brain circuits involved in emotion and empathy.
So it's hitting multiple targets at once.
Exactly. And if you look at the bigger picture, poetry seems quite unique among art forms in how it stimulates both the cognitive and the emotional aspects of intelligence simultaneously. It fosters this powerful integration that few other things do.
That is incredible. It sounds like it's not just making you smarter in a bookish way, but maybe wiser. Integrating logic with feeling.
That's a great way to put it. Wiser.
And you're saying this isn't just theory, it has real-world impact. Improving work, social life, mental health.
Absolutely. The research backs this up quite strongly. Studies have consistently shown poetry being used successfully as an intervention, a therapeutic technique for depression, anxiety, and stress.
For different age groups, too.
Yes, across a wide range of ages.
Yeah.
From children to adults, studies worldwide have reported statistically significant improvements in happiness and general well-being just from engaging with poetry.
That's amazing.
It really makes you pause and think. Could Darwin have been onto something profound way back then?
You mean his idea about stimulating the emotional side?
Yes. His prediction, essentially, that engaging the emotional intellect through things like poetry is vital for mental health, for life satisfaction. It just resonates so strongly with these modern scientific findings. It's like ancient wisdom validated by fMRI scans.
So recapping today, we've seen poetry isn't just, nice words. It's way more than that. It looks like a genuine tool, almost a biohack for your brain. It can stimulate neuroplasticity, help balance your brain hemispheres.
And boost both your cognitive and your emotional intelligence, integrating how you think and feel.
It seems like this really accessible yet profound practice that can lead to deeper insights, better empathy.
And real improvements in mental well-being.
Right.
Similar effects to things we might think of as much more intense or cutting edge. The beauty is its simplicity, its availability.
Right. It's right there. So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Given these accessible yet powerful effects poetry seems to have on the brain, spurring neuroplasticity, boosting both IQ and EQ,
Hmm.
what simple daily habit might actually be the most overlooked biohack out there for real mental well-being and cognitive enhancement?
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Maybe it really is time to dust off that old book of poems or maybe pick up a new one. You might just unlock a richer, more integrated mind.